Hello students, hope you all are doing good. Today I am going to take 10th standard science, unit number 14, transportation in plants and circulation in animals. When we just talk about this particular lesson, in this session I am just going to teach transportation in plants. Now we are going to understand the main two terms of this particular topic. First one is transport and the second one is translocation. When you just talk about this transport, as I just now told you, xylem and phloem tissues play a very important role to transport materials from one place to another. That is called transport. Okay? Transportation is nothing but carrying materials from one part to the other part. The second thing what you should understand is translocation. Okay? Translocation little different from transportation. Translocation, the bulk of substances, for example, mineral ions like calcium, magnesium, nitrogen, no, all these substances are together taken from one location to another location. Let me tell you an example, from the root hairs to the top of the stem. Okay? So, different location. So, transfer of bulk of substances from one location to another location is called translocation. So, first introductory part, you should understand two terms. One is transport, the second one is translocation. Okay? Hope you would have understood clearly. Now, let me move to the second part of this topic. Once again, let me just recollect why do they need transportation. First, you have to understand why plants need transportation. Definitely, they are in need of transportation, without which they cannot survive. Okay? So, you know very well, in the slide you can see here, transportation is very important, which are carried by two types of cells, yeah, xylem and phloem. You can see this side xylem, which transports water, mineral ions as well as the gases like carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Okay? Xylem plays a very important role, because they are the ones which carry the mineral ions from the soil to other parts of the plant. Second one you can see is phloem. Same thing, when xylem is carrying mineral ions to the entire part of the plant, leaves also receive, isn't it? So, when leaves receive the mineral ions, automatically they prepare food. That process is called as photosynthesis. So, as I just now told you, phloem plays a very important role in transportation. Okay? So, phloem transport food material. As I just now told you about the xylem, here phloem always transport the food from the place of production. Which is the place of production? Leaves. From the leaves to different parts of the plant, phloem will supply the food material. Transport means to carry things from one place to another. Okay? As I mentioned in earlier, you can see the transportation is done by two important tissues which are called as vascular tissue, xylem and phloem. Xylem transmits water and mineral ions, and phloem transmits food material. Okay? Now, here you have the picture of xylem and phloem, which is not there in your textbook, children. So, you can just have a look of these xylem. Here you have xylem in the first part, and second part you have phloem, which are just separated by companion cells. Okay? Cambium. Cambium is the middle layer which separates xylem and phloem cells. This xylem and phloem cells are widely distributed from the root system till the apical region of the plant or the tree. Okay? So, just for your reference, this diagram I have given here. Next, we will move on to the next topic. As I told you, means of transportation. Means ways. Yeah, what are the ways? These materials, either soil water along with mineral ions or food material, transported from one part of the plant to another part. Okay? These are the ways you can see here. First process is called diffusion, second one is called active transport, third one osmosis, fourth one plasmolysis, and last one is imbibition. You can just pronounce it as imbibition or imbibition, both are same only. Now, let us see each one in detail. Diffusion. Okay? This is the method of transportation of either the soil water or the food materials from one part of the plant to another plant. Okay? Now, the first process, as I just now told you, diffusion. Here you can see the movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Okay? Here there is no need of energy to transport the material, just like that. I can give you one example here. You can see the picture. A drop of ink is dropped into a bottle. We have taken plain water. The first you see a drop of ink is dropped in, and immediately the ink diffuses through the water molecules and spreads evenly. You can see the third conical flask wherein the ink which is spread throughout the water molecules. Okay. So, this is just a diffusion process. There is no need of any pull or force there. Automatically the ink will be mixed with the plain water. So, this is one example you can see in the slide. Let me just move on to the second example, a second mode of transportation, active transport. So, when you see the active transport, what is the difference between diffusion and active transport? Diffusion, I told you, movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Here there is no need of external energy, no need of force from outside. Wherein here in active transport, what happened? Same thing happens. Water molecules from the soil enters into the root system, then to the stem, then to the leaves and all by active transport. What happens here is water molecules are just pumped inside the root hairs. Okay. Now, you know very well water molecules are abundantly present in the soil along with mineral ions, and so the concentration different will be there definitely. So, they have to be pushed into the root hairs. Okay. Root hairs are tiny outgrowth of root system, tiny growth. So, this water molecules which are present along with the mineral ions, so they are in different concentration level, isn't it? So, it has to be pushed inside. So, what happens in this active transport? Plasma membrane, you know very well, each plant cell is covered by a cell wall. Inside they have plasma membrane. Inside this, on the outer line of the plasma membrane, there are molecules called proteins. Proteins are present. So, you can see in your textbook protein bounded membranes. That means the membrane is coated with special types of proteins. Okay. These proteins will give energy, okay, to pump up the water molecules from the soil into the root system. So, the first one, as I told you, diffusion, we never spoke about energy, but in this system same way water molecules are moving from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration, but here they are in need of energy. That energy how do they get? From the proteins which are present on the outer line of the plasma membrane. So, the proteins are called as pumps. Okay. They pump, they help the water molecules to be pumped inside the stem and to move, to travel in the upward direction. So, here when you see the diffusion and active transport, only one difference, and of course, the concentration gradient is there, and apart from that membrane bound proteins, the proteins which are present on the outer line of the membrane plays a very important role, and they act as energy givers. They just pump, they help the water molecules to be pumped up, because the water molecules are present in the soil, they have to be pumped up to the root hairs, then to the root system, entire root system, then to the stem and other parts. Okay. So, that is the second mode of transportation. Third one is very important, children, for the exam point of view. Definitely you will be getting a 2-mark question or essay also sometimes they ask. Okay. Third process is called osmosis. Yeah. Here is interesting point about osmosis is, here also we are talking about movement of water molecules from the soil into the root only. But region is concentration is different, children, here. So, from the higher concentration to the lower concentration, as we have studied in the first what you call it as diffusion. Okay. But here there is a need of plasma membrane, there is a need of semi permeable membrane. Okay. So, the movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi permeable membrane. So, when you just look into the diffusion and active transport, we did not use this word semi permeable membrane. Okay. So, semi permeable membrane, what is the meaning of it? Yeah, semi means partly, permeable means they allow certain substances, a membrane which allows certain substances to go in, that is called semi permeable membrane. You can give example as plasma membrane. When you think about the plant cell diagram in your mind, just think about plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is semi permeable in nature. Okay. They allow only the necessary materials to go in. Okay. Other things will be pushed out. That is the meaning of semi-permeable membrane. So, once again let me just tell you what is osmosis, because it is a very, very important question for your exam. The movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Okay? Hope you would have understood very clearly, and this is demonstrated in your textbook using this following diagram. You can see the diagram over there, and wherein a thistle funnel, the center funnel, no, and glass tube is in like glass tube like structure, that is called this thistle funnel. Okay? That thistle funnel is filled with sugar solution, okay? Ordinary sugar mixed with water is taken in the thistle funnel, and this thistle funnel is kept in an inverted position, okay, inside a beaker containing plain water, So, the beaker has water, inside which we are inserting a thistle funnel in an inverted position, and the mouth of the thistle funnel is tied with a semi-permeable membrane. You can ask me what is semi-permeable membrane, which type of membrane. If you ask me, I can tell you sheep bladder of sheep, no, that has the nature of semi-permeability. So, that you can buy and you can tie it in the mouth of that, okay, mouth of the thistle funnel. You got it? First one, we have taken a beaker, 3/4 of the beaker is filled with water. Now, you have taken another thistle funnel, fill it with sugar solution, tie the one mouth of the thistle funnel, the broad end, no, that there you tie with the sheep bladder. I gave you an example, but any semi-permeable membrane you can select and tie it there. Now, keep it in an inverted position, insert it inside the water. Just leave it for 1 hour, okay. After some time, maybe after 1 hour you come back, you can see when before you go out, you just make the level of the sugar solution inside the stem part of the thistle funnel. Thistle funnel is taken wherein you have poured in sugar solution, isn't it? Take a marker and just mark the line, take it as an initial level. After 1 hour or after 2 hours you come back, because this thistle funnel having sugar solution is inserted inside the water. What happens after few hours, the solution which is present in the stem of the thistle funnel would be increased, okay. So, you can see, because already the initial level is marked, when you come back and see this particular level is gone above the initial level, okay, that you mark it as final level. That is a diagram here. And now, what you understand from this particular demonstration is water from the beaker has entered into the thistle funnel. You understand, children? Because thistle funnel you have taken sugar solution which has lower concentration. Outside you have higher concentration, where in the beaker the water has higher concentration because it has mineral ions. Thistle funnel you have added sugar solution, it's sugar in that. So, concentration less. So, from this experiment you can understand, children, what is osmosis. Yeah, the movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration, that is nothing but the beaker. Beaker has water which has higher concentration. So, water molecules will penetrate through the semi-permeable membrane, the membrane which is tied in the mouth, that is called semi-permeable membrane. Through that it will enter into the thistle funnel. So, you can see the movement of the water molecules by the raising level, that the level which is raised up, no, in the stem, that will give you the measurement. That is the level wherein the molecules are just entered from the beaker into the thistle funnel through the semi-permeable membrane. Hope it is very clear for you now. Now, fourth process is the means of transportation. Again, the fourth one is plasmolysis. When you talk about plasmolysis, so simple it is. Actually, you can just see the diagrams here. The first one, it is going in reverse order. First one, second one, third one. Third one is very, very clear, children. And when you just keep a cell, for example, take a plant cell, keep it in a hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution is thick, density is more, okay, thick as well as the concentration is more. So, when you just take the plant cell from any part of the leaf or stem or root, take one cell, insert it into that solution. What happens after some time, it is soaked inside the solution. After some time, the plasma membrane will be shrunken. You can see there the first diagram, the plant cell, see the plasma membrane which is just going inwardly. In the second diagram, third diagram, you can see the complete outer layer of the plasma membrane shrunken. Yes, because along with the plasma membrane, they have the fluid inside. Yeah, that fluid is called protoplasm. The protoplasm will also be shrunken, followed by the shrinkage of plasma membrane. That is there in the third diagram, you can see. So, plasmolysis is nothing but water molecules move out of the cell, resulting in the shrinkage of the protoplasm. Is that clear? Now, the last one is imbibition. You see here a beautiful picture, and where you can understand very clearly this mode of transportation, children. Imbibition or imbibition, you can say. Imbibition is nothing but a solid plant materials kept in the water for a long time. What will happen? For example, here I have a picture for you which is not there in your textbook. You can see this picture and you will understand the process of imbibition clearly, children. So, dry grapes are soaked inside the water, okay. You just leave it for few hours. After some time, if you come and see, the dry grapes definitely gets swelled up, yeah, they will be swollen, yeah, because the water molecules from the cup or from the glass tumbler would have entered inside the grapes. That leads to the swelling up of grapes. That is the first example. Here I have given as per the textbook seeds. Seeds, when they are soaked inside the soil, you know very well, when imbibition is not there, seedlings will not come out, because when the seeds are buried under the soil, they must imbibe water, they must absorb water, yeah, then they will be swollen, then they burst out, then only the sapling comes up, okay. So, this is what is called imbibition. Imbibition is nothing but a solid plant material absorbs water, thereby they will be swollen. Is that clear? So, these are the 5 modes of transportation. Please learn all these modes. Definitely exam point of view you will get questions from this topic, okay children. Now, let me just move on to the next interesting topic where we are going to learn about root hairs, children. As I told you, xylem plays a very important role of conducting soil, water along with mineral ions. When you think about the root hairs, look at the diagram. Root hairs, when you see, you know very well, in the lower classes you would have learnt about the fibrous root, tap roots and all. When you think about these roots, you can see the hanging out structures which are called projectors. So, the root system will have on either side minute bristle like structure. These are called root hairs. When you just technically talk about root hairs, they are an epidermal outgrowth. Root is there, the outer layer is called epidermis. They are the outer epidermis, no, it will be given out as minute fibers, yeah. So, they are absorptive in nature. So, this epidermal outgrowth, that is what you can see, they are the extension of epidermal cells. Of course, they increase the surface of absorption. If no root hairs are there, then absorption will be very less, yeah. So, if you want a plant to grow, definitely the plants must have many root hairs. So, root hairs are very important, through which the soil water along with mineral ions will enter, then it goes to the roots and stems, etc. Okay. So, root hairs are an epidermal outgrowth which increase the surface area of absorption. So, when you just think about this root hairs in your mind, you have a look of the diagram, the root hairs are just buried in the inside the soil, children. Now, just question yourself, think about yourself, what happens, how does this water enters from the soil particles into the root hair, then to the root system, that we are going to learn using this diagram. Next diagram. If you see the diagram here, this is a typical root hair internal structure, okay. Internally, so in the first diagram, you can see the brown color hangings. I have just taken that one brown color and kept on the microscope. This is the structure, okay. That one brown color outgrowth has this following structure, which you can see in the second diagram. So, think about only one root hair, so you will understand better, okay. So, now one root hair is in your mind. So, root hair, as I told you, it has an outer epidermal layer, and when water is pushed from the soil, just imagine the root is below the soil now. So, root is going to absorb the water. What happens? The root hairs which are buried in between the soil particles will absorb water. Okay. First, as soon as they enter into the root hair, few cells are there, you can see the blue color cell. So, through that root hair it comes. What happens? Since the soil water which enters into the root hair has more concentration, children, because it has mixed with soil water along with mineral ions. So many minerals like calcium, potassium, phosphorus, so many nitrogen, all these are mixed in the soil water. So, when they come in, what happen? Root hair will receive the water, yeah. So, the concentration gradient will be formed. What happen? Inside the root hair, concentration will be more. So, immediately you have learnt osmosis, children. Just now I explained to you, from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So, look at the diagram, blue color cell. So, from a region of higher concentration, because there inside that small bit of hair, root hair, concentration is more. Next they have cortex. Cortex is made up of cortical cells. Inside the root hair itself, cortical cells are there. So, now concentration gradient, look at that root hair blue color, there the water enters, now that part has higher concentration. That yellow color cells, you can see cortical cells, they are lower concentration. Center is plasma membrane. So, osmosis takes place, you understand. So, water molecules along with mineral ion from the root hair through the plasma membrane enters into the cortical cells, which has lower concentration. Okay, that is why it is called, the first part is osmosis. Now, what happened from here to the stem and other parts of the plant through xylem vessels, active transport. So, here you can see osmosis as well as active transport, as they are in need of energy to transport these materials in an upward direction. This is there down, yeah, root hairs are there down. Now, they suck the water. Once they suck the water, it has to be pushed up, it has to go up. So, active transport, wherein they are in need of energy to push up the water through xylem vessels. Xylem cells are distributed throughout the plant body, stem, branches, leaves, flowers, fruits. So, everywhere the water has to go up. So, there active transport will take place, and the energy which is needed to push up the water molecules through the xylem cells will be given by ATP. ATP you have studied already in 8th and 9th standard, adenosine triphosphate, which is stored in the mitochondria. Okay. So, this is what is happening. This is called as pathway of water from the soil to the stem and to the leaves also. Okay. Now, we will just move to the next part of the topic, types of movement of water. Same thing, but if you just understand the concept, it is going to be very, very interesting, children. Try to understand types of movement. As I just now mentioned, using the root hair, osmosis and active transport take place, thereby the water reaches the stem, from there to the leaves. Now, how does these movement take place? Otherwise, you can say what are the types of movement? Two types. Of course, they are entering from the soil into the roots through root hair. But how does it happen? Okay, that is the next part. Two types of movement. One is called apoplast, another one is called symplast. A slight difference only. Apoplast, you can look at the picture there, children. You can see a line which is drawn in green color. Yeah. So, these are the yellow color, the rectangular or the irregular shaped cells, no, they are the plant cells, and they are covered by black color, no, that is plasma membrane. So, they have the boundary plasma membrane. So, you have different cells are present, they have a boundary called plasma membrane. What is apoplast? Look at the green color. So, water molecules must go in and out, okay. But in apoplast movement, water molecules will just pass through the intercellular spaces. Intercellular spaces is nothing but the space which is present in between the adjacent cells. You can see the white color cell, yellow color cell. For your reference here, you have two different colors are there in your textbook, white. White is one plant cell, then yellow is one plant cell. So, in between these two cells, there will be a gap, there will be a space, that is called intercellular spaces. Okay. Next one, wall, as I mentioned, that black color line, wall is nothing but plasma membrane. So, apoplast movement of water takes place only through these two ways. One is intercellular space, another one is wall of this plant cell. Whereas in symplast, they have to pierce, look at the blue color, look at the line which is drawn in blue color, children, and you can see they will just pierce the plasma membrane, cytoplasm as well as the plasmodesmata. I will just tell you what is plasmodesmata a little later. Now, listen, you can see there water molecules are just transported into the cell, but they cross the membrane, you see that yellow color membrane which is called plasma membrane. So, they are piercing through that. Plasma membrane has pores, in between they have many pores, through that water will enter, and also cytoplasm, the shaded area, white color and yellow color is called cytoplasm. So, through that they are transported, okay, through that they are travelling. Plasmodesmata, gap, you see the gap in between the yellow color lines, the boundary, you just make a note, there is a gap in between the boundaries, yeah, that is called plasmodesmata. So, through plasmodesmata, plasma membrane and cytoplasm only water molecules will be transported. Can you understand, children? Once again I will just revise. Types of movement, two types, apoplast, symplast. Okay. Apoplast is nothing but movement of water molecules through the intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells, two ways. Movement of water molecules through the intercellular space and the walls of the cells only water will be transported. Whereas in symplast, if you see, water molecules will not just move, they pierce the plasma membrane, and then next region is cytoplasm, then in between the gap plasmodesmata. So, plasma membrane, cytoplasm and plasmodesmata through which the water molecules will be transported. This is the next part. Hope you understand clearly. And we will move on to the very interesting experiment which you would have actually seen in the lower classes also, a very important process, transpiration, children. Can you just think about what is transpiration? When will you sweat more? Tell me. When you feel so hot, when your body is heated up, then we sweat a lot, isn't it? To just send out the heat from our body, water droplets will be coming in the form of sweat. Same thing happens in plant also, children. What happens when the climatic condition is too hot? Okay. So, plants cannot tolerate that. Okay. What happens? The stored in water, sometimes they store more water, yeah. So, those water which are just stored as an extra will be just pushed out through their openings. What are their openings called? Stomata. So, when you just see the stomata, children, you just think about a leaf in your mind now. Okay. When I teach you, just think about a leaf. A leaf has a dorsal surface and ventral surface. Both the surfaces, many pores are there, many holes. We can't see that, only through microscope you can see. These pores are called stomata. Okay. Stomata are more in ventral side than dorsal side. Okay. More pores are there. What happens when the temperature is more? When plants are not able to tolerate the temperature, the excess amount of water which is stored inside will be pushed up through the pores. Those pores are called as stomata. For a reference, cut the leaf, keep it under the electron microscope. That small pore is made up of two cells known as guard cells, G-U-A-R-D. Guard cells. Here I have the picture given for you, guard cells picture. Each pore is made up of a pair of guard cells. Okay. These guard cells will open and close during transpiration. You understand? So, transpiration is nothing but sending out of excessive amount of water through the openings called stomata. There you have the guard cells play a very, very important role in pushing out the water. You understand, children? In this transpiration, what happens? Water enters inside the guard cells. Guard cells are open during the daytime, children. So, they become turgid. Turgid means like this, swollen. In the night time, they become flaccid because they lose the water out. Okay, that time transpiration happens. So, when you are talking about the guard cells, you have to remember two important words, turgidity and flaccidity. Turgidity is nothing but when the guard cells are kept open, water enter inside the guard cells. So, they are turgid in nature. Okay, that gives the shape of the plant also because they are turgid in nature. And during the night time, when the stomata closes, guard cell will come closer, they push out the water. So, they become flaccid. This is turgid and this is flaccid. Okay. Hope you would have understood the topic very clearly, children. Just read the lesson and mark the important questions and prepare for your exam very well. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice time.